Welcome, welcome, please come in. Good day to you. It's Saturday, we are in the middle of the weekend, and we have to do what we said we would do when we talked about what we would do yesterday. So, what we would do today was catching up on all of the rest of the changes that Blizzard has planned for 9.1.5, because in the last few days we started going over the more important stuff. So the Covenant being able to be freely swappable, the removal of conduit energy, a list of catch-up mechanisms and restrictions being lifted, for example for anima, stockpiling, possibly being able to transfer anima to alts. We have looked at the Mythic Plus Legion time walking yesterday, together with the balance tuning, which was another pretty important thing. So today we are left with the bunch of stuff that has been left over. We have the title of the video, which is the main event, the fight from Blizzard against sellers, boosters, and carries, and then we have the legendary scrapping info, as well as the Druid's travel form, the new starter sets available in 9.1.5, and even a bunch of shoes being added into the game. So going in order of importance, we are starting with Blizzard's fixes, Blizzard's attempted solutions to curb this booster plague that has been going on in the game. So I actually made a video which also touches on this problem, which is the problem of gold, the problem of the currency in game, and that we need to basically purge the current gold in the next expansion and come up with a new currency to use, because at this point gold is so worthless that it's obvious, it's given for granted that you will be able to buy boosts and carries every time there is a new raid or a new Mythic Plus patch. And Blizzard over the years has had quite a few issues dealing with this problem in both ways, both in the terms of the chat, so the trade chat most of the time, and then of course the group finder tool. You know, the trade chat is whatever. The trade chat we can kind of ignore, because who even watches and reads the trade chat anymore? What's more important is of course the group finder, because whereas people don't really go and look at trade chat to be able to sell their stuff and to be able to find good deals, they just go to the auction house. Nowadays the group finder is still the most used and the most necessary tool when it comes to finding and creating groups for high-end content most of the time. So raids, Mythic Plus, arenas, RBGs. It's important that that place stays clean and usable for the player base, because the more it disrupts people, it makes it harder for them to actually engage in the content, which is not something Blizzard would be too happy about. You know, sometimes you might be thinking about, you know what, tonight I kind of feel like joining the raid, maybe with my alt, you know, to get some boss kills for the vault, maybe I get some good items, and then you spend 15 minutes in the group finder having to be constantly barraged by a list of sellers and carries and boosters, and eventually you just give up, close the game, and go play something else. So that is something that actively hurts the player base. The solution, the intended possible solution that Blizzard is planning, is this. Accounts now require an attached Battle.net authenticator to post custom text when listing a group for dungeons, raids, or rated PvP activities. The other note is that players will no longer be able to post groups which require a Mythic Plus or a PvP rating higher than their own. Blizzard's logic behind this reasoning, how they came to this conclusion, is that the group finder that is being spammed by these ads is usually being populated, and these types of ads are generally being perpetrated by compromised accounts or throwaway accounts, such that penalties incurred by in-game reporting have not proven to be an effective deterrent, because those people don't care. They're posting on alt accounts or some useless account that they don't care if it gets banned or even permanently banned or silenced and whatnot. So having those types of throwaway accounts require a phone number that you can register your Battle.net authenticator, and that you then need to use it to confirm the identity of that account, would potentially slow down all these carries and boosters and whatnot, because then you can't really attach that number to your real account, because if you do, and your alt account gets banned because it was spamming advertisements, you were linking that phone number, which is your main, you are basically raising a giant red flag to Blizzard, telling them that it was you who created that alt account to spam ads on the group finder. Because the authenticator itself, the functions of the authenticator can only be attached up to 3 different accounts. Then you need a new one. You need a new app with a new phone number to confirm the safe login every time you want to get in. So basically the idea is to make it as annoying as possible and as hindering as possible to all of these boosts and sellers and carries to basically do what they want to do. get their gold, get their money. The other addition is the fact that you won't be able to post groups requiring a rating higher than your own, which is very similar to what you can't already do right now in game, like trying to create a Mythic Plus group for a key and set the item level to 265. You can't be 265, so you won't be able to require that item level. Now, there is also going to be the option of requiring a rating for the group, except you also have to be above that rating. Now, you know what people do in these cases, right? You look at a group, there is a guy who doesn't put the item level requirement, but then puts in the custom text that it requires at least 245 item level. So of course you're like, this is fishy. You look this guy up and lo and behold, he is 233 item level. And of course he's asking for curve, he's asking for 10 out of 10 progress, and he is 6 out of 10 himself, right? This is par for the course for usually what happens. But hey, at the very least, he is not a carry, he is not a booster, he's not advertising his gold selling and boost selling site on the group finder, so he's just a guy trying to get carried himself. It's not that bad when that happens. It is a little bit worse when it's these advertisement groups and advertisement throwaway sock puppet accounts that start flooding the group finder. Because at the end of the day, it is a group finder and these people are not looking for a group. They're not really trying to get people to come and join them. They are trying to advertise their site or their 7 p.m. soon to come boost selling run for Sylvanas Heroic for 180,000 gold or whatever. So in case people are getting confused or perhaps annoyed at the idea of having to use the authenticator themselves, just in case it could help to combat these spam, these ad spams, for you it shouldn't really change anything unless you were an avid writer of custom text in your groups, right? As long as you want to make a Mythic Plus key and you select Mists and you select Mythic Keystone and you select the title to be plus 16, you're done, right? The worst thing is going to happen to you if you don't want to use an authenticator is that you won't be able to write need Ventir in the comments when you're looking for a House of Atonement group. But then again, you can just put need Ventir in the title and you're still fine. The general block, the general annoyance when you can't write in the notes is if you want to write an entire wall of text about all of the deals your boost and carry site is offering. That's generally what this change is targeting, not really your average Joe, your normal Bob, your regular Ted. For them, it's going to be pretty much the same, even if you don't want to use the Battle.net authenticator on your mobile phone. And no, of course, this is not gonna stop the spammers. There are people writing and commenting after this change, like, oh well, gold sellers and boosters are still gonna be there. Yes, of course they are still gonna be there, that's obvious. That's just trying to get them to be there less. That's the idea. You can't just extinguish them, you can't remove them from the game, they will still find ways to pop up. So this is in hopes of curbing and hindering them as much as possible, to get them to be there less. So this was the main course of the day, the biggest change, the more important planned change for 9.1.5 that we have for today. After this, we have a few other things. Number one, more info, I guess the final info we needed, on legendary scrapping. The initial news about legendary scrapping was just that. You will be able to scrap your legendaries to the rune carver and he will be able to offer you some of the materials back. That was it. That was all we knew. Nothing else. So some people, of course, when they heard this, just loaded their Blizzard PR.executable file and they just said, okay, I guess the materials back are gonna be like 20% of what we spent. Great, I can now get 150 soul cinders back of the 1500 I spent. I can get 500 soul ash of the 5000 I spent. Actually, no. Actually, the announcement is that the rune carver will now offer to destroy an existing legendary item and return all of the soul ash or the soul cinders that you have spent to create them. So, a 1-to-1 refund on your legendary crafting, which is, it's impressive. It's impressive, but we still have to remember this to everyone. Remember that in positive and optimistic terms, 9.1.5 is going to come out early to mid-October. This is going to be almost 4 months into 9.1, so it's not that you're still rushing to craft your legendaries. It's not that you have a list still of legendaries you want to keep crafting in 9.1. You should be mostly done by then, which means, cool, I can now, for example, destroy legendaries that I crafted before that had been nerfed, or perhaps legendaries that I crafted at the start of 9.1, and as 9.1 progressed, it turns out we needed a new legendary. For example, maybe paladins who started upgrading their shock barrier legendary, but then halfway through they went for Marad's legendary in raid, and they don't need the shock barrier anymore. Maybe they can just dust that to get a different one. For example, maybe they wanted to play Prot Paladin, they did not have the time and the resources to craft a good Prot Paladin legendary, now they will be able to. So that is good, because it gives you more excitement to play the game. You get to play something different that you didn't have time to play before, a different spec, a different role, with a different legendary that does something different. So that is still good. It's a good change. However, it's not that crucial, especially because given Blizzard's standards, I know, they are changing a ton of good things in 9.1, there is a ton of quality of life improvements and whatnot, but some of the core things of these patches is that once 9.2 launches, Soul Cinders is going to end up like Soul Ash. Soul Ash became a secondary background type of material needed for 9.1 legendary crafting, and then in 9.2 it's very likely that Soul Cinders is going to become the backup secondary, not gated type of resource, and Blizzard will come out with something else. After Soul Ash, after Soul Cinders, we will get Soul Embers or Soul Dust or something like that. That will be the one that is going to be gated. It will be the one that will be available to craft a full item level legendary after 4 weeks or something like that. So it's not that refunding all of that stuff right before 9.2 comes out is going to allow you to craft instantly 3 different legendaries at 295 something item level. However, it is still a good change. It's just giving you more options. As I said before, I myself am pretty triggered of having 5 different legendaries in my bank, just being there doing nothing. I might as well just get rid of them to get back some resources. So it is a good change still. The other thing we have gotten to know about yesterday was the travel forms for Druid, because there are going to be 4 new travel forms with double color available. You have the Regal and the Gloomstalker Red Bat, so you have a slight tint of purple and a straight black bat. You have 2 different types of rune stags, the Twilight Rune Stag and the Midnight Rune Stag. You have the Sable Arden Moth and the Shimmering Arden Moth, and then you have the 2 different ravens, one black and then one slightly more, what's that, dark green perhaps, that color. Unfortunately, I have to admit defeat. Blizzard doesn't seem to be adding any inscription crafting recipes for Ghost Wolf of the Shaman. I guess we're gonna be stuck of either being a wolf or being a raptor with a model from 2004. Fine, Blizzard. Lastly, we are going to finish in the transmog corner, because one of the announcements of a few days ago was the starting gear sets based on the armor class that were data mined. The question was, are they going to be new? Are they going to be replacing something? And are they going to be transmogable? Because the original starting gear was also basically white, common, rarity, untransmogable. Turns out these pieces of gear are going to be the new starting gear available in common quality gear, so unable to be transmogged for all of the different classes. Now, what is worth mentioning is that the older gear, at the very least for the moment, it looks like the older starting gear is no longer going to be obtainable. It's going to be replaced by these pieces of gear. So number one, you can create a character right now and basically save all of these pieces for, I don't know, as a memory, as a memento, or maybe for planning on selling them 6 years from now in the auction house as some sort of luxury item. It might be possible that eventually Blizzard is going to cave in and add a vendor for the older version of these starting pieces of gear. Either way, the new ones, despite having, much higher quality, much higher polygons and texture quality, they are still common rarity items and won't be able to be put in your transmog set. Lastly, what will be able to be put in your transmog set is an entire new swathe of boots that have been data mined. They are themed around different, materials. You have the bone shoes, the dragon scale shoes, you have the fur shoes, the lava shoes, the leather shoes and the plated and Sabaton boots. These look honestly pretty stylish, and to be fair, it's also been the bane of my transmog existence. For some reason, every time I have to go over to the boots, unless it's a specific set with its own type of themed booth, it's always a nightmare. Trying to find good boots, they're always horrible, especially when you want to go for a set that has some bright colors, like trying to find some yellow boots, some green boots, or some red boots. It's always pretty hard, so it's pretty cool that they're adding multiple boots with different colors, some of them even pretty bright, so that is pretty nice. We are going to close the video. We're going to finish with a reward, very likely for the MDI participants of Season 2, the Tormented Banner of the Opportune. Plant a banner representing your success against the Tormented. 10-minute cooldown banner, very cool looking, very nice, very stylish, I have to say. So that looks like it's going to be a reward themed in some way around the MDI that will come for Season 2. So for this, we have gone over all of the additional changes, all of the additional things we know so far for 9.1.5. We have a couple of things that I am still interested in talking about for 9.1.5. We will see as the time goes on. Tomorrow, I think it will likely be the time for our weekly raid video, because tomorrow it would be 7 days since we went over the last one. So we have our weekly review of the raid. For now, however, we can stop here. We can take a break and enjoy the rest of the weekend. Thank you guys anyways for watching. If you've enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, you have 3 options. You can like the video, you can comment down below, or you can subscribe to the channel. I guess you have 7 options really. You can do a combination of either. Anyways, see you guys soon. And in the meantime, what is this that I am eating right now? It's very slimy. Mwah.